Have you ever delivered amazing results at work year after year and still watched somebody else get the promotion that you wanted? If you have, you're not alone. And it's not because you aren't good enough. It's because being a high performer is only part of the game. There's this whole other layer happening in your company that most women are never taught to see. And my guest today calls them the invisible games of corporate power. Linda Reddy is the global supply chain leader for Nando's, a fast casual restaurant brand that you'll find in 24 countries around the world. She started her career 31 years ago in South Africa, fresh out of high school, and worked her way from a junior role all the way to the global C-suite level in London. Along the way, she's managed P&Ls, got her MBA part-time, studied at Harvard, and led big teams across India, Middle East, and Africa. And here's what I love about Linda. After 25 years of leading people, she stopped and asked herself a big question. What are the ingredients that actually made me successful? And what are the things that held me back? And one of the things that she found that high performers miss is the corporate games. And those games are costing women their careers. In this episode, Linda is going to walk us through 3 pieces of power that she learned the hard way: visibility, influence, and the narrative that people carry about you when you're not in the room. So you'll also hear why your results will never speak for themselves the way you want them to, the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, and why most women are building the wrong one, and the exact shift that you need to make to move from performer to influencer to a woman of real authority. So if you've ever felt like you're working harder than everyone around you and still getting passed over, this conversation is going to open your eyes. Let's bring in Linda. I'm Jill Avey, a career success coach, and this is SisterSmart Leadership, the show that explores how women can rise from director to vice president and beyond by fully leaning into their feminine energy as their biggest advantage. Let's get you one step closer to the recognition and promotion you deserve. So Linda, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to have this conversation. And tell us about what you do now.
So now I'm the Global Supply Chain Director for Nando's. And for some people that don't know Nando's, it's a fast casual restaurant company. We're based in 24 countries in the world. We have restaurants and we've got a retail product. And I manage some of the key areas from the African bird's eye chili farming in Southern Africa, all the way to the central procurement, to a source manufacturing plant, and global logistics of product.
Oh, that sounds like a big job.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It is. Yes. And who are the people that you're working with give us an idea of where you are in the company and, kind of what level you're working at on a day-to-day basis.
So I'm at, some people will call it a global office or the head office, but it's the center function, which is called the group office. And the group office is primarily responsible for supporting the markets, coming up with thinking and ideas, being thought leaders, but also being custodians of the brand as well. So when my role was in South Africa, it was a far more operational role, which was responsible for the entire supply chain for the South African market. And then I got promoted. My role then went to a role of supply chain director for India, Middle East, and Africa. And then I shifted and I moved into a global role where I took on a broader remit of some of that responsibility. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And I would love to hear what some of the things are that you've learned along the way that you felt were most important to help you to make those changes up the ladder.
Jill, there's so many.
I know.
There's so many. But, specifically, I take it most of your audience is women, and, to talk a language of what we women can understand is there's just so many lessons, right? But, I'm going to give you one big thing that I learned. If I had to really put it down into one thing is I learned that just being a high performer is not the only secret ingredient to promotion.
Yeah, right.
And in many respects, I learned it through ways that it costed me. And I also learned it through ways where I didn't understand. Okay, so I didn't understand that, one, you're a high performer, which delivers results. Then you're an influencer, which shapes decisions. And then you're a person or a leader of authority that defines the direction and control of outcomes. So it took me some time to learn that across my journey, and irrespective of the titles and the role and the amount of people that I've had and the remit of responsibility, that's one key area where I learned what the differences were and how that will shape my career.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes. I love that, how you're talking about those three distinctive shifts, because I think a lot of people think if I just keep doing more of what I've been doing, that I'll get there and people will notice how talented I am and they will give me the opportunity to be able to learn and grow in that way. But really, we have to start showing that we've got that next level ability
Mm.
before we get that chance.
Yeah.
And so, there's that saying, what got you here won't get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're really talking about.
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about power dynamics on LinkedIn, which is where we met.
Yes.
And I know that's one of your specialties, and it's something that I think so many women struggle with. And
Yeah.
so I'd love to hear what your framework is for how you see the power dynamics in corporate world.
Yeah. Firstly, I go back to your first question, and now that I'm reflecting on it a little bit more, and being a high performer, you just think, oh, I'm just gonna do my work, and the results are just gonna present itself, right? The results are gonna show how good I am. But what I learned is that performance builds my credibility, and it builds credibility, okay? But influence builds momentum, and authority builds control. And underpinned all that is this power dynamics. Okay, it's this power dynamics of understanding what are the invisible games in corporate that are influencing decisions, and those decisions pertain, one, to me and my career development, two, to the projects that I'm building, and three, to the direction that I want to go, either with my team or the company or my business unit. Okay. And there were like defining moments where that I realized that there were decisions being made regarding my role or a project that was happening without me in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I also realized that, there were projects or initiatives where I wanted support, and only to realize that the positioning of that did not happen in the boardroom. It happened outside the boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
So then I realized that, I was playing a performance game, okay? But then there's the positioning power that needs to happen. So that's where I started to play close and say, what is this dynamics of power that we as women, we don't learn it in a business school, we don't learn it in a degree, we do not learn it when we enter the company and they give us our induction program. How are we learning it the hard way? And sometimes we are just playing the wrong game because we don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. Uh, there are many social systems that teach men about these power dynamics from the time that they're young kids, and we don't get that. And so we really have to go out and learn it ourselves. And you're right, it's not in business school either. Even though I took a
Yes.
class on power and influence, I didn't learn this stuff in that class.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the main things that we need to be thinking about when it comes to power?
So there's a few things, and I'm just gonna be naming like a few, right, in terms of how I see some of the elements that contribute towards power. One is, what is your visibility? Number two is, what is your influence? And number three is, what what is the story around me? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so how are people perceiving me? Okay, and I say power dynamics is equal to like where the decision rights plus where there is access, and then where there is trust. So I go back to visibility. And a lot of women, including myself, we work, we deliver results, but who knows about it?
Right.
Okay. And our manager may know about it, but how are we going there and boldly putting, I've delivered XYZ, Jill is delivered ABC. So one is I do it for me, and number two is I do it for other women. But number first, you got to do it for yourself. You got to deliberately go out there and show the work that you've done to beyond your remit. And that's the visibility I talk about. But you know, Jill, so many of us are conditioned. And I come from a culture where women must be quiet. We must be humble. We must not be boastful.
Right.
And now I question all that, or I've been questioning it now for many years as a senior leader. And because women are conditioned to be humble, to be quiet, to not be boastful, we do all this amazing high performance work. And we don't want to go out there and show the world what we've done.
Yeah.
Because there's a preconception that women don't do that. And then what happens is when we see other people do it, we judge them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, we should be doing it. So, you know, for me, visibility is looking and saying, what is the perception of the individual? How am I positioning myself? And how am I repeating that? Because you don't go once and say, Jill or Linda has done XYZ. You keep on doing it. You keep on doing it because it contributes towards the perception people have of her, the positioning that I'm having, and also it's the repetition that gets you there.
So they
Okay.
remember, because people aren't thinking about you in their day to day; they're thinking about themselves.
Exactly.
So if you want to stay
Exactly.
top of mind, you have to keep talking about it. And
Correct.
one of the things
And
that this might be helpful, Linda. One of the things that we talk about in our program with visibility is this mindset shift of thinking about how we can reframe visibility as I'm helping others to do their job, because other people need to understand what I'm doing to be able to do their job better.
yes.
And we're actually doing them a service by letting them know what's going on and how our work is impacting their work even. And
Yeah.
so when we start to see it as a service, now I can do that much more easily versus
Exactly.
feeling like you're tooting your horn, because women don't, they always rebel against that feeling, and because that goes against our social conditioning. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I like what you're saying, is how do you support others? Because it is an environment of, yes, I've got to put myself out there, but what else can I do for others as well? If I'm sitting in a boardroom and I see there's another female colleague of mine that's doing amazing work, she's quiet, I'll talk for her. I'll talk about the great things she's done. And most probably that will give her confidence as well to talk up.
Exactly. I love that
Yeah.
you're bringing that in too.
And then to build on into the questions, so the first one is visibility, and the second one is influence. So there's a general view that influence is how do I persuade someone, okay? But influence is all about access. It's about timing, okay? And it's also about alignment. So when do you align with the right people? Who do you align with? When do you align with the right people? And also, how are you ensuring that you get access to the right people? So that for me, that's what influences. And influence is just not once off. It's a system. I've learned that the hard way. I've really learned it the hard way where, as I spoke about earlier on, is I'm going into a meeting room, and there was no ways I was going to win that argument.
Yeah. Right.
Because I didn't do the influence.
Right.
And I didn't do the influence on making sure I get access to the right people, make sure my timing of when I communicate with them and getting their alignment. And that takes time and that takes effort.
Mm-hmm. It
Mm,
does.
mm,
It's a whole other job that women often don't even realize is happening.
exactly. Yeah.
Are there things that you're thinking about when you're trying to open the doors to expand your influence?
Yeah. So within the corporate world, it's when I access when I go and put out my influence there, it's what am I achieving and what am I achieving for the company, and how is this good in terms of short, medium, and long term. But also there's another impact as well is who I'm doing this for is how is this going to benefit people in terms of their individual KPIs. Because to your point as well is you do things for yourself and your KPIs and your delivery and for the greater business, but how is it going to help my colleague, and how's it going to improve certain things in their areas. And some things I've found that when it requires you to make a decision in an area, or when it requires you to look out there and say that you want something to get budget for, is always trying to understand the different people in the room and what they want in their areas as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an important part. And we may not get it all right. We may not always get what we want 100%, but sometimes it's okay to take the 80% and say the 20% will come in time.
Right.
I think what I found in my journey of influence is accessing the right people, okay? Because sometimes you think, this doesn't impact this person. I don't think this person here is gonna or has authority to approve it. You be surprised how different things impact different people.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And you have to build these relationships before you need them.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you don't know what their,
Yeah.
what their motivations are, what their objectives are, what makes them look good.
Exactly. And Jill, just to add on to that one is, you know, we women, we we come across as hardworking. We come across as an operator. She's going to get this done. Trust
Mm-hmm.
her. She's going to get it done. And sometimes what's missing is that she's a thought leader.
Yes.
In the absence of her getting things done, she's a thinker.
Yeah.
She's got ideas. She knows how to navigate through people. So a lot of times that's missing. And what happens is when we go into influence with certain people, they have a perception about us. And the perception that they have, and I can speak from my own journey, is that she's a high performer. She's going to get it done. Should I listen to her with her ideas? And early on in my career, people saw me more as a high operator and
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily someone that's going to influence, come up with ideas, be a thought leader. That
Mm-hmm.
was missing.
Yes. I see that a lot. In fact, I do what's called the Big Five of Strategy assessment, and that future thinking, that thinking about what's going to happen, and starting to connect the dots between where we're going and what our strategy is. That is almost always women's lowest scoring
Mm,
competency. So
mm,
we don't see that time as work, that thinking time.
yes.
It doesn't feel like work. It feels,
Yeah.
the doing feels so much more rewarding and more like work. So there's a real redefining, what work is.
Yes. And it's a vicious cycle because we work, 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 and we don't talk enough about it. And
Hmm.
that's something I spoke about, visibility. And then we work, work, work. And then the promotion doesn't come, or you get pushed aside, or you're not protected. And then we ask ourselves, but why? It's only because we just we're so in this realm of I got to work and my work is going to prove itself. We tend to be really, really tough on ourselves,
Yes.
very tough on ourselves.
Yes, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why we don't do a lot of outside feedback in our program, because I have found that women are so hard on themselves. They know what they need to work on.
You're
They
so
don't need to
right.
hear more of it. And if
Yeah.
they do hear more of it, they'll get so focused on that. And that's why we're a very much a strengths-based program, because
Yeah.
we want people to focus on what you're good at and really
Oh,
own
that's
it,
lovely.
you know?
That's lovely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lovely. Mm.
Yeah. Now, what's our third element here of power?
So I've got influence, I've got visibility, and then, the other one that I'm thinking, so you got influence, you got visibility, and then the other one is narrative, narrative
Yes.
framing. Okay. And narrative framing and perception links to each other. So I'm going to build a little bit more in terms of the point that I meant earlier on is we go out there, we're seen as the high performer. Okay. We also seen as the person that's pushing through and she wants to get results and she wants to get results. And most often, okay, you get a narrative of she's pushing too much. She is too demanding.
Yeah.
Okay. She wants to deliver this. She wants to deliver that. And what's missing there is it's missing on the narrative and the perception and the framing of oneself. Because we got to take responsibility that we are the ones that create the narrative for others. Yes, others will have their own perceptions of you. So no matter what you do, what you don't do, people are always going to have perceptions on you. Something I say, do it, don't do it. People are always going to have a story about you.
Yes.
So I say, do it
Yes.
versus don't do it. So do it in terms of narrative building, have the conversations, go out into forums and start being in sessions where it's thinking, it's brainstorming, it's getting to know people, removing yourself from your office where you're sitting or your desk and say, I want to be a learner. I want to become or I want to show that I'm a thinker. I want to be sitting in rooms where we are coming up with innovative ideas, because that then starts shaping how you are perceived and the narrative around you to be, yes, she's a thinker and she's a performer.
Yeah.
And that then shifts women to get this ultimate realm of power, which is high performer, influencer, and then woman with authority. I've come across a lot of women, and I've seen this as well in my career, with lots of women in my team, women in other departments. They're such good performers. And then when you're shifting to become more influential, they get stuck because they don't know how.
Yeah.
They find it daunting. And the reason why they do that is because they're so stuck in I must deliver results.
Yes.
And then what happens is she's limited in her position. And then to move into authority, that's not going to happen if you're not going to be showing that you're a woman of influence. So there is that shift women got to go through in terms of if I'm a high performer, I'm a high performer.
Yeah.
I am. If I've done high performance for 3 years, I'm not suddenly going to become a non-performer. And that's the part where women, we create so much of doubt in ourselves that we want to constantly go and prove and prove and prove.
Yeah.
We want to be liked. We want to be liked. And it's not about being liked. It's about creating that visibility, creating that narrative of who you are, and coming across as a woman of authority.
That's a really good point about the proving it over and over again, because I think that can really keep us stuck. So often when I'm coaching with clients and I say, okay, you need to take some time to do these visibility things, the influence things. And I see this look on their face like, oh, I can't, because I have to make sure that my team is doing all the things
Mm.
and I don't have time for that. What are some of the mistakes that you see that women do when they're trying to increase their power in these areas that we want to avoid?
They work too hard. Just work too hard. And the other one is women just, I mean, I spoke about earlier, women just expect the results to talk for themselves. I
Yeah.
think I see that as the big one. Okay. They expect their results to just talk for themselves, and your results are not going to talk for yourself. It's going to talk for yourself to a limit and to a point, but as women are progressing into senior leadership roles, you got to go out there. So it's a big mistake that I see, okay, that women make. And I think once you get over that hurdle of, I want to talk about myself, I want to talk about the good things that I'm doing, I want to be my own ambassador. I
Yeah.
always tell people is be your own ambassador. You know, we're always looking for others to talk about us, other people to give us validation. Validate yourself first. If you can move to a script of saying, I am good at XYZ. I've managed this challenge despite XYZ. Or even if you do something small. You know, I speak to a lot of women in my team, and I've had a lot of women in my 31 years or 25 years of leading people, where I find that it's the women that are not taking the risk to get into leadership roles. And their
Mm.
number one reason, Jill, is I am not ready.
Yeah.
Because they want to be 150% ready.
Yes, they do.
And what does 151% looks? It's different things for different people. Okay. But there's always this perfection. I want to have all the qualifications. I want to have 100 years working experience. Okay. I want to have done this transformation and that transformation. Take the risk. You get it right. And, you know, I've got stories of women in my team where I saw the potential in them. They were not ready. And I had to bring in an intervention, which is a bridge. And that's why I believe in the power of coaching, Jill, and the work you do. Is sometimes women just need that bridge and that push.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got women now in my team that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they doubted themselves, and they're sitting as a senior leader right now.
Yeah.
And it's a breeze.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to get to that 150% because there's no such thing as that 150%. They were already operating at 150%. So that's one mistake I see a lot of women make is we just want to be ready for the next big thing. Take the risk.
I think it's so important to do everything before you feel ready. And I've noticed that every time that a new door is about to open for me, that next opportunity is going to come. I always think, oh, I'll be ready in about 3 months. And that's your time to move.
That's the time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the time. That's the time to say I'm gonna be ready to take that leap.
I'm going to make it happen. Thanks so much for sharing all this with us. I mean, it's so helpful. And I think every woman faces some of these things, if not all of them, on their way up the ladder. So, lastly, I always like to ask people, who is a woman that inspires you?
I'm gonna answer this in a little bit broad way, Jill, if you allow me to. Okay. The woman that I am totally admired by is the women that make a decision to leave the corporate system. Usually it's women at senior levels, women at executive levels, women at CEO levels. And they step out of the system to want to go and make a difference to others that are in the system in a positive way.
Mm.
And these women, they understand the dynamics, they understand the power, they understand how women need to look at promoting themselves or push themselves a little bit further. But these women, they leave their status, they leave their income, they leave their identity, they leave their access, and they say, I now want to go and make a difference to the others before me.
Mm.
So those are the women I now admire. It's and most probably it is sort of likely where I am in my career as well. But I
Yeah.
got a special admiration for women that do that. And Jill, you are one of those women.
Oh, thank you so much. It's definitely been a great stage in my career for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for talking with us today, Linda. It's been such a great conversation. It's so wonderful to hear your experience and hear some of these things from somebody who's living it right now. It's inspiring to hear your story, and I hope it inspires lots of, I'm sure it will inspire all of our listeners. And thanks for
Yeah.
your time. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And Jill, just to add on that is 6 months ago I went into a place of reflection. I took
Hmm.
some time off, and there's a few patterns that I was observing in my 25 years of leading. And of those patterns, it then led me to understand a little bit clearer what are these invisible games of corporate power.
Hmm.
And I developed a reflection journal. Your listeners can go into my
Yeah,
website
yeah.
and have a look at it. And the reason why I developed that journal, so it allows somebody to go and monitor those patterns that are happening in the work environment. The second thing I've done is I decode the 11 invisible games of corporate power. And we spoke a lot about one, which is visibility. We spoke about sponsorship. Okay. We also spoke something about closed door, the closed door game, how decisions are made outside the boardrooms and the meeting room.
Hmm.
So I do encourage everyone to go and download that journal, use it as a tool for reflection, and use it as a tool with all the work that you do, Jill, in terms of helping your listeners.
Hmm.
And then what I also do is I underpin that with what are the 22 human dynamics that underpin these 11 invisible games of corporate. And I'll just highlight them, just for your audience. But that 22 human dynamics is broken down into 6 areas, and it's identity and status, okay? It's fear and control, okay? It's relationships and trust. It's ambition and survival. It's narrative and perception, and we spoke a little bit about that. Yeah, those are the key ones. And one more is influence. So I highly recommend people go and use this tool to say, where can I bring in a better version of myself to get promoted? And also, how can I protect myself?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, what a fabulous tool. I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And I'll put a link in the show notes
Thank you.
for our listeners so that they can, check that out and really get that. I love that you put it into a reflection journal, because I'm a huge fan of reflection time. And when we structure our reflection time, we can make time for it more easily and get more done so that it feels like productive time, because I think that's another place where we don't feel like it's work. And so we don't do it. So I
Mm.
love I love this tool for people.
Mm.
Thanks so much again, Linda. What a conversation. I love how honest Linda was about the patterns that she had to learn the hard way. And I love that she's now turning around to help women coming up behind her. And here's what I want you to take away with you. Your great work is your foundation, but your foundation is not your ceiling. So if you want to move up, you have to let people see the work, shape how you're perceived, and build real sponsors who are going to speak your names in the rooms that you're not in. That's the real game. And it's a game you can absolutely learn to play and in a way that feels authentic to you. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I would love to hear in the comments, of the 3 pieces that Linda talked about: visibility, influence, or your narrative, which one feels like you need to focus on that one first? Drop it in so we can cheer you on. And go grab Linda's reflection journal on her website. She walks you through the 11 invisible games of the corporate power and the 22 human dynamics behind them. So we only covered a portion of that here, and I know you're going to love the whole thing. We'll put the link in the show notes. It's a beautiful tool to help you spot the patterns in your own workplace. And then pick one small visibility action this week, just one. Send the email, share the win, speak up in the meeting. Smaller risks build into bigger ones. And if you're a female leader who wants to make a bigger impact by leading at a higher level in your career, subscribe either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more women succeed in leadership so our world gets the benefit of what women bring to leadership. And if that's aligned with you, I'd love to have you be part of this community and tune into more episodes on SisterSmart Leadership that will support more success for us all. See you in the next episode. If you're ready to fully lean into your feminine leadership and get promoted from director to vice president and beyond, hit that subscribe button so you'll get all the episodes to come. And check out the recommended video here to see how women are rising up without playing by the old rules that built these male-dominated industries and systems.